Hello there, welcome to Target Radio's podcast with me, Cookie. Every single week we find different people to speak to, mainly musicians, artists in the unsigned realm of music. And what we do, we have a chat with them, find out a little bit more about them, and obviously explore their music. Now, if you are listening to this on iTunes, please, if you get a chance, give us a 5-star rating if you can. And please make sure you put some comments in there as well. If we're doing something right, that's great. But if we're not doing something as good and you think we could do something better, then please do leave us a message. Let us know. And if you want anything else in the podcast, again, let us know in the comments box. That will be brilliant. Okay, stay tuned then. Today we've got a brilliant artist. Have a listen to this.
Dear God in heaven, please let this show go okay, with no major boobs or goofs, or is it grooves? Please don't let me tread all over the intros of records, or say a naughty word.
Every Monday night.
Every Monday night?
Every Monday night?
Every Monday night.
And every Monday night.
I listen to
Andy.
Sean Cook.
Oh, Sean Cook.
Andy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We'd like to say that in our opinion it is not suitable for children or for those of you who may have a nervous disposition.
Oh, Sean Cook.
Andy. But you got to admit, it's quite funny, Andy, isn't it? Anyway, good evening, welcome. Time now is 7 o'clock. We're on time for a change, Andy.
Happy days.
Yes. We are on air because that sign behind you says...
On air.
Thank you. And if you notice, I've had a little shave.
You have?
I have, you didn't even notice. What are you like? Honestly, you don't take no notice of me at all. Honestly, I don't know why we're married. Oh, we're not.
And I haven't had my goatee for about a month or so now.
6 weeks, actually. I've been counting them. Anyway, now we've discussed the lack of facial hair. Tonight's topic is, why do men grow beards to disguise themselves when they're going bald up on top? Why is it bald men seem to have beards? That's our topic of discussion. No, it's not really. But we do have a discussion this evening with Steve T. Standing from the credits. Oh, I'm looking forward to that, mate.
So am I.
Oh, looking forward to it with, brass knobs. Yes! Anyway, my apologies for last week's show. Out of our control. Totally out of our control. No idea from the powers from the internet. Blooming internet. Internet. I hate the internet. What would we have done without the internet? Oh, yeah, we would have gone on FM or something like that. But anyway, the internet failed us. So last week's show, it's gone.
Gone.
It's gone.
So sorry.
I've got the will to go on. Oh, well, we have now. So, we're going to try and grab a Chat with 515 band in the very near future.
We are indeed.
Okay, whether it be a live show or we'll do it straight to a podcast. But we'll have a similar interview. And for those tuned in last week, well, we might ask the same questions again. We'll try and sort of like make it slightly different, but we'll make it better.
Indeed.
Okay, for the next bunch of records then, we're going to start off, of course, with The Who, and why not indeed, and let's see if you can see what I'm playing here. There is a little bit of, well, shall we say, a link between the next sort of 3 or 4 records. It is time for birthdays. And our birthday correspondent now, our birthday announcer is Ruby. Hello, Ruby.
Hello.
You're very loud. Hang on. You need to bring your mouth away from the microphone a little bit. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course we can hear you. We can hear you the other side of the world. Goodness me. Right. Okay, so let's go for it then. I point, you mention, and Andy's on hand here to help with the pronunciation of this next one. So, who's this?
Ralph Macchio.
Macchiano.
No, it's not. No, it's Macchio.
Macchio. I'm looking in a mirror.
Okay, well, it's backwards then. And he's having his birthday today. For those who've got a really keen ear, you'll know who he is. For those that don't, he is the...
Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 59, I think he is.
Wow.
And he still looks so young. And we've only got one more sort of celeb, as we call them, that you guys out there in listening land might know of, and that is Ruby.
Louise Redknapp.
And she is a...
Pop singer.
Allegedly, yes. There's loads of people having birthdays today. Of course there is, but we've never heard of any of them. Most of them they put down as famous. They're like on YouTube and all of that, Andy, and I don't get that. No.
They're not celebrities.
No, they're not. Well put, Ruby. But the celebrities today are you guys out there in radio listening land and on the Facebook. So we're going to start from the top tonight, Ruby, and this is...
Gordon Schultz.
Yeah, that's close enough, and he is...
74.
No, see, if you don't want us to tell you, tell everyone your age, then don't put it on there. Okay, next up we've got the lovely...
Susan Sanford.
I'm sure she is lovely, and she's lovely.
53 years old.
Well, 53 years young, actually. So there's a few of them now not putting their ages up, I've noticed. Okay, next up then we've got...
Simon Lynch.
And he is...
49.
Happy birthday to you, Simon. Okay, and next up then we've got...
Denzel Pemberton.
Yeah, and he is... He's nothing. He's not put his age up. He's very good, eh? Very good.
Man.
Yeah, what a man. And last, but by no means least, we've got...
Ian Venus.
No, it's Ione.
Oh.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a funny name looking, isn't it?
Ione.
Yeah, it's Ione Venus, yeah. Not sure if that's her real name, but happy birthday to you, Ione. Right, okay, let's have a look at the recent birthdays from the weekend just gone. So, I love this guy, okay, from Stephen's Ruin. It is...
Stephen Leach.
Yeah, well done. And he's based in Germany, but he's a fantastic singer-songwriter. Love Stephen. Happy birthday to you, buddy. Okay, let's rattle through these quickly then. We've got...
Ursula Sutton.
Happy birthday. And also...
Tanya Fulkelson.
Yeah, good. And next...
Bernard Michael Nussbaum.
Nussbaum. Yeah, good. Okay, a couple more then.
Glenn Adamson.
Happy birthday to you. And...
Andy Winter.
And...
John Bicknell.
Now, John Bicknell, does that name ring a bell? We'll get back to him in a second. Does it ring a bell?
It does.
It does. I thought it might do. And he's asking for donations for the cancer research, and he's 50 quid away now from 150 quid raised. So well done to John Bicknell. Well done, mate. Okay, also we've got...
Paul Hammett.
And...
Gil Appleby.
And...
Alan Jenkins.
Ah, well done. And back to John Bicknell then. Squire. There he is. Happy birthday to you, John, for yesterday, and of course to a good friend of our show as well, Stephen Leach. Happy birthday to each and every one of you. And Ruby, thank you very much indeed for popping in of your very busy schedule that you have, being a 10-year-old schoolgirl. I know it's very busy for you because you've been doing lots and lots of homework. No, seriously, I'm being really serious now. You've got lots and lots of homework because you didn't bother doing it, didn't you?
No, I did.
Yeah. That's why we sat there over the weekend doing lots of long multiplication, long division, and oh my goodness me, my head is exploding. They've changed everything.
How long did it take?
I've no idea. I was using an abacus. I'm still doing the first question. What are you on about? I haven't got enough beads on my abacus. Anyway, we're getting there, aren't we, Ruby? We've got, what, 2 or 3 more left to do?
2?
2, well
I
done.
think we did 2.
Yeah. Anyway, say goodbye, Ruby.
Bye.
Now you say bye-bye, Ruby.
Bye-bye, Ruby.
There we go. Okay, there we go. And thank you very much indeed to Stevie Wonder for popping in and singing that for us as well. Okay, let's continue with the live music then. This is the Lord John. Right, okay, let's move onwards and upwards then. We're going to be talking to Steve T. Standing very shortly. Is he ready?
I'm sure he is.
I'm sure he is. Hopefully he's ready and standing by. Get it? Oh, I'm sorry. I've got to tell who you are and what you are and where you're from and all the other nice bits and pieces. So, on the telephone with me right now, we've got Steve T. Standy. He's a guitarist, vocalist, songwriter, bass player, cup of tea maker, and pretty much everything else from thecredits.co.uk. The Credits are a mod stroke indie band from Worthing in West Sussex. The band were formed in 2008, inspired by such bands as The Who, great choice, The Jam, equally good choice, Oasis and indie music in general. The band released their first single, London's Calling, in June of 2012, and I remember playing it on the other radio show back in the day. I loved that, because I thought, hang on, it's The Clash. It's nothing like The Clash. It's absolutely brilliant. 2 more singles and their debut album has now been released for England 2014, Standing in the Shadows 2015, and debut album It's Not Where You're From, It's Where You're At, obviously of last year. Welcome, Mr. Standing. Woo!
Thanks, man.
Steve, are you there?
We have.
There he is.
I'm here.
There he is.
Brilliant, lovely. Okay, sorry, we forgot to plug you in.
I would help.
No, the reason why we do all of this, okay, is to prove that we're live.
Always live. Always live.
Don't you love live radio?
Oh, we love live
Me
radio.
especially.
There you go. Now you sound like a man again, because you sound like you. I don't know. You sound like a
In a
Like a
bottle.
robot.
yeah, like a robot, like a girly robot. Now you sound more manly, much better. Now,
Thank you.
now we've got you here, but on your album cover, okay, which is obviously it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. There's 2 of you. Now, explain that,
There
please.
is.
Why is there 2 of you on this cover?
Well, the Credits were really 5 individual people in the live side of it, but for that album and us as a band, the Credits are 2 people, me and my brother. So that's my brother John to the right of me.
John
on the
T.
picture cover.
Standing.
Sorry, to the left of me on the picture cover. So that's him.
Gotcha.
So he is the keyboard player in the band. So
Perfect.
that's why we're on there. And I suppose it's that brothers connection, isn't it? You've got the Davis brothers with the Kinks, and
Yep.
the Gallaghers with Oasis, and you've got us. So
Excellent.
that's what it is.
That's it. How many rounds you had with him?
Quite a few.
I thought you might have done.
If he's listening to this show, he'd probably sit there laughing his head off right this moment.
That's it, yeah.
So,
I'm calling you something under his breath.
probably.
Oh, my goodness. Let's say good
Probably.
evening to John. Hey, John, how you doing?
Evening, John.
Yay, there he is. There he goes. Right, he's gone. He's gone down the pub. I think I might go with him. If anything else goes wrong here tonight, Andy, I might go down the pub myself.
I might join you.
We'll just leave. We'll just leave Steve. Just carry on. You all right there, Steve? Yeah, you carry on, mate.
I'll carry on. Yes,
You can carry on. Okay,
I'm
so
just laughing at you two.
well, I'll tell you what, you might as well. Everyone else is.
It's great.
Okay, we've just gone onto your Facebook page, and if you want to follow the Credits, which obviously loads have actually, over 3,000 of you, which is fantastic. We're
Yeah.
going to try and build it up for you as
Thank
well.
you.
Okay, so head over to the Facebook page, which is facebook.com, you knew that bit, and then just /thecredits.mods, and you'll find their page there, or indeed just go into their search facility and just type in the Credits, and you'll see the title of the Credits come up, which is rather good, and I do love that font as well. It's rather nice.
You do.
Yeah, it's
Do
very
you know what
nice.
it's called? Do you know what that font is called?
Is it? Hopefully, it's radio friendly.
It is radio friendly.
That's okay
yes.
then. Go
It's
for it.
called Creator Credits Font. That's what it's called.
Well, look at you.
So why I used it when I thought it had the name Creator Credits in it, I thought, right, Well, it's just asking to be used, isn't it? So that was
Well,
it.
be rude not to.
So thank you very much.
No, I like it.
1001 fonts where I found it. So
painstaking task of narrowing it down to 20, then down to 10, then down to 5, and then
tell me about it.
And then boom, you find the right one and you stick with it. And I totally agree with you, because it's very difficult. Because you want it to make an impression, you want it to look good, but you also want it to stand out and make something for you. Because obviously it's all about visual, as well as obviously listening to music. You've got to have a sonic adventure, but you've also got to have a visual one.
I mean, I went for the lowercase font rather than the capitals.
Yeah, I've noticed
for
that.
the actual band name.
Yeah.
Because all the other bands out there that I'm a big fan of do capitals. I thought, well, let's make that different and make it lowercase for the name.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I put that graphic onto the screen of the computer and I looked at it, I thought, yeah, that's the one. And I went with that. And then basically the title of the album is in the capital letters of that font, and basically the actual band name is in the lowercase of that font. So,
perfect.
And it was just because of the name, I thought, well, creator credits, we're called the credits. There you go. It's got to be used, isn't it?
Well, absolutely.
And that's it.
Right,
that's exactly why I used it.
That's it. Before we hand over to the man with all the questions, I've got a couple of my own, and I just want to get these in there as well. First and foremost, I'd like to mention all of the brilliant, excellent songwriting and sound that you do there. And I know you're going to ask these questions, but these are recommendations, okay? This is what I'm going to do now. So Johnny Bradley went on, and he recommends the credits because he loves your songwriting and sound. Great original songs with a nod to the Jam, The Who, The Kinks, etc., and Quadrophenia. So I'm just going to pull up on the Quadrophenia side of things. What are your favourite films?
One of my most favourite films, it is.
Yeah.
I just love the characterisation within the film, Jimmy, and the whole character he is, what he stands for, and that was it. I mean, it was a big influence on me writing this album.
Yeah.
So, for this album, exactly. There's 3 or 4 songs in there that are a big nod to Jimmy, the character, Pete's writing, even down to the finger-picking playing in it. I try to do my interpretation of what Pete Townsend does, but make it my own. So
absolutely.
That's why it sounds like it does.
Yes,
but
indeed.
Big nod to Quadrophenia. I think what's good about Quadrophenia, it does appeal to the youth of the day as much as it did back in the day when we were 15, when it first came out in 1979.
I was a lot younger than that.
It's nice to see that the youth are embracing it like we did 40 years ago.
Absolutely,
which is great.
Yeah. I remember watching it on a less than, what should I say, I think it was a VHS. Do you remember VHS, Andy?
That's when I first
Tell me about.
Oh, my goodness me. And for those that don't know what VHS is a video cassette player and recorder. If you were very rich or you rented from DER or Radio Rentals, you got a recorder as well. And what it used to do, I had an Irish one actually, and it was really good. My video recorder was brilliant. It was a bit Irish though. I think it was an Irish brand. I think it was Paddy O'Connell or something like that on the front of it. And the problem with it was,
I like it.
Well, the problem with my video recorder was it used to play record things I never watched and then play them when I went out. Brilliant. Anyway, moving on, we digress. Molly Boutwood recommends the credits. One of the best bands around Worthing. So I take it Molly is one of your local ladies around the area.
Yeah, she's a big fan, bless her. She's a friend of mine's daughter, basically. Brilliant. Yeah, bless her. So,
brilliant, we love Molly.
It's great. I mean, I couldn't wish for a better fan base and people that follow the band, you know what I mean? They've got so many good fans of all ages that like what the band do, and that just makes it all the more, for me, great to do it all. Because
that's what you
when
want,
you hear it all these people sort of making these great compliments on what you do, what you say, how you play, how you sing, it's great. You can't wish for a better sort of like I'm stuck for words really. It's just it's overwhelming.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
one more then.
Response has been brilliant.
And
it's
how
been
about this
fantastic.
one then? You're going to love this one.
It has.
Okay, one more then, and then we'll get you down off your very high cloud. This is John Searle, and he recommends the credits. I bought the album, and I can't stop listening to it. love it. There we go. I mean, obviously, go out there now and get this album because, as you said, it is a nod to the Quadrophenia, even though it's nothing to do, directly with Quadrophenia, but you can hear like little snippets and bits and pieces. So if you love film, if you love the film and you love the soundtrack, obviously from The Who, you're going to love this album. Right, okay, I've said enough. I'm going to pass you over to Andy. He's got some fantastic questions. I know he has. If one's on a desert island, I'm going down the pub right now. Okay, over to you, Andy, buddy.
Fantastic. Nice to talk to you.
How you doing, fella?
Hello, Andy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. It's great to speak to you, as I said. Now, my very first question is, as you know, I love your song, To Be Someone. Where did that song come from?
Right. To Be Someone was basically, I was listening to The Jam and To Be Someone from All Mod Cons. Loved that song. Mm-hmm. And me wanting to be someone like him, like he's basically talking about being a famous footballer or rock singer, and that was really it. And then I heard also The Who did a song called To Be Someone as well, and that was it. So basically it's autobiographical. It's just about me wanting to be counted on the mod scene, which is now growing on Facebook and out in the UK at the moment, and that's what it was. It's just my take, and it just happened to share the same title as a song by those two classic bands, Ivy, The Who and The Jam. So that was it, really. That's why I wrote it.
Excellent. As I said,
it's about me. It's about me to be someone, and everybody else who sits there and aspires to play in a guitar and to make it famous. It's the same thing for me. So that's it.
Do you play any other instruments?
On that, I play guitar on that. On that track on the album. The bass guitar is played by actually the engineer who did the session with me when we did the album, a guy called Nigel Ball, and he played the bass on that. So all the sort of guitars were done by me. All the bass playing on that track was done by Nigel. So that was one track that I got assistance with, and he came up with this superb bass line that had a very John Entwistle from The Who type feel to it. So it fitted the track perfectly. So it was a marriage. It was like a marriage made in heaven, if you know what I mean. As soon as we put the two sounds together,
Sean's just fallen in love with you.
Oh, you mentioned John Entwistle. I saw him obviously before his demise playing live when he done the Quadrophenia and More tour. And I'll tell you what, when he done his little solo he does on one of the tracks, and it's unbelievable. I nearly said a rude word there because you really want to swear because it is that passionate. But just watch him. He stands there and he literally doesn't move. The only thing that moves on him are his hands, and his fingers are like a blur. And I was that close to the stage area. I actually had VIP tickets on that evening, and I got them by hook or crook, or I can't remember how I got them, but I got them. And I was so overwhelmed by the speed that he played the bass. And they say he reinvented the bass. What say you?
Definitely. I mean, before he came along, I know you've got some great jazz bass players and all that, but when he sort of turned up and he started doing what he was doing with the bass guitar, I don't think any bass player had actually sort of approached it from that sort of like solo point of view. I think he was the very first ever soloist bass player out there.
Correct, yeah.
I mean, when you heard that solo in My Generation, that was it. And then what he went to do on from the albums there on and in till like say his demise, he's just basically set the benchmark pretty high as bass playing goes, and he's probably one of my number one heroes, if you know what I mean. I think every bass player out there, and I've been a bass player for many years, aspire to be like John Entwistle because he just had that unique sound all of his own.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, we here at Target Radio, we really get on the bass players. Well, I do anyway. We always say, because I know you're not known for being a bass player, even though you do play the bass. So I'm going to be really, really candid here that I say all bass players are miserable sods because they stand there and they're very good. They are very good. Don't get me wrong. I would never take away their craft because they are all very, very good. But they stand there and they never smile. They've got no about them. There's no sort of personality about them when they're on stage playing. And I yet to find a player that actually walks around, smiles, does a little jig with his bottom or whatever the case, or her bottom, it doesn't matter, him or her. But they don't do anything like that. They stand there like almost like a statue. Okay, I'm going to call
I totally agree with you because you think
they
about
do.
It, all the great bass players through the eras, Yeah.
I mean,
one of them, when
John
when are one
Entwistle
of them
never
smiling,
moved.
They ain't, are they? No,
He never
you're
moved.
Right.
I think they found chewing gum
I
on the
think what
bottom
it
of
is,
his
they're
feet
so-
and they
they're
never
so
moved.
On concentrating on what they're playing.
Yeah, I think that's
they
right.
just lose expression in their face.
They do,
Maybe
and I
that's what it
mean,
is.
obviously, when he sung, because obviously, bass players generally don't sing. I mean, obviously now people are going to say,
Exactly, no.
"Well, the Police, Sting sung." Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And obviously, John Entwistle, he had a couple of tracks and hit with backing vocals. He done Boris the Spider very well. Boris, I can't get that deep. But
Yeah.
generally, Mark King from Level 42, one of the fastest bass players in the whole world. I don't know if he still holds that record. Again, see,
I think
I
he
think
does, yeah.
thing about bass players. I mean, they don't have
Smile.
personality. They don't smile. What's that all about?
No, you're right. You are right. You think about it. All the bands that I've listened to, and I listen to a wide range of music, yeah. And I must admit, they're always, even sort of like J.J. Burnell and the Stranglers,
Yeah.
they all just sit there with serious faces,
They
don't they?
do. They do.
They're playing,
I mean,
yeah. You
But
are
don't
right,
get me
you're
wrong,
right,
they are
yeah.
all fantastic
Yeah.
players. Okay, back to you,
All
Andy.
great bass players.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. All household names. I mean, even Sting from the Police, fantastic. Bruce Foxton from the Jam.
Yeah.
An absolutely fantastic
Mind
bass
you,
player.
Bruce
but
did
you
move.
look at the Jam videos, Paul's sort of like the moody one, then it's sort of like Bruce is sitting there saying, or standing there doing nothing really, just expressionless.
Well, yeah, I mean, he did move though. I mean, he moved quite a bit in
Oh,
his
he did.
heyday until he split
Another
his
one of my
trousers.
heroes.
Jumped
so,
about a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you was to ask the sound of the credits with me when I do play the bass, because I play the bass on most of the album as well as the guitar, the inspirations for me are John Entwistle, Bruce Foxton, Paul McCartney, and dare I say it, but an 80s pop bass player here, as I'm a bit of a fan of, is John Taylor from Duran Duran. I thought he was a great bass player,
Yeah.
so
Well,
I used at one time adopt that style that he played as well.
Well, do you know, John Taylor, obviously from Duran Duran, I remember an interview he done with, I think it was Enemy or one of them, or Smash Hits, one of the tabloid papers or whatever. Anyway, I remember that a person come up to him and said, "So why did you choose the bass?" And he went, "Well, I just wanted something that was the easiest thing to play." It's not, though, is it? It's quite a hard instrument to play, really.
It is. It is. I mean, you do get people just saying, "Oh, the reason why he plays bass is because he ain't that good." No, I tend to totally disagree with you, and I mean disagree with that and agree with you, because if you listen to some of the most greatest bands out there,
yeah.
the bass players are exceptional. I mean, the list goes on.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, I could quote a dozen names like Sting, Bruce Foxton, John Entwistle, John Taylor. Do you know what I mean? Then you go to Mark King, Stanley Clarke, Jaco Pastorius with Weather Report, I mean Vernon Edwards with Chic. There you go. The list goes on.
There we go, and all fantastic bands as well. And they've done really well in up and down the charts, and obviously with live music as well, they are very good. Right, Andy, have you got a great question? Let's get away from bass players now.
Well, I don't know about a great question, but I do have a question. You obviously just did your what should we say? You played at the HMV in Brighton just recently.
I didn't. I've rescheduled. I had a really bad tooth, so I couldn't do it because
Not
of
that
this
old
tooth. So
chestnut again.
I've rescheduled that for the distant future. So in the near future, I'm playing at HMV. I didn't do that performance. I had a bad tooth, so I'm due to do that. So I'm going in very soon.
Well,
so
I hope you keep
I
us
will keep Target up to date with that and everyone else
brilliant.
about when that performance is actually going to come off and when I'm actually going to do it. So
if we get a chance, we'll come down there and try and video it as well, shall we?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
we'll try and video it for you as well.
That'd be fantastic.
Stick it up on the YouTube, stick it up onto all the social media platforms for you as well. Okay, so back to you then, Andy.
Fantastic.
Okay, so Steve.
Hello.
Hello.
So you're gigging. So where are you gigging at the moment?
At this moment, we're in a new lineup. So basically, the 5 members we had last summer that we sort of gigged with just after the album come out, they went back to other bands that they were involved in when they joined the credits. So basically, we stripped that down to a 3-piece band, which meant we couldn't play live because we lost certain members of the band. I've now since then got 2 new members coming into the band. So very early next year, with new songs written for the new album, we'll be back out on the scene. And I've now got sort of a vocalist coming in, so we're going to be doing the Paul McCartney, John Lennon a bit in the Beatles. So we've got a guy coming in singing half the songs with me. The voices sound great together. The new songs are more sort of faster, harder, sort of bit fuller. So no, you're going to like the new sound. Sounds great.
That sounds amazing. Do you have
no pun there? No pun there.
Do you have sort of a superstition before you go on stage? Is there something you do before you go and perform?
What a great question.
That means all the other ones are rubbish then.
I mean, I tell you what, I get nervous before every performance I do. I think you have to have a little bit of nerves in order to have that edge to play live.
Of course you do.
I think if you was to go out there and not have any nerves, then you wouldn't be able to pull off a performance, because you do need to have some kind of nerves. I'll tell you one thing I wouldn't do. I wouldn't walk under sort of ladders or sort of things like that before I went on stage. Or that might be, but that's a normal superstition, not really for
the thing is,
performing live.
I want to know what the ladders are doing on the stage.
I know, exactly, yeah. But they say we're by the side of a big stage and there was ladders or something around there, I wouldn't walk under them, so no.
Now, I don't know if you're a regular listener, but we're going to have a little game now, okay? Just break it up a little bit, because obviously interviews can be long-winded and not boring, but can be a bit tiresome on the on the mind. So what we're going to do now, we're going to have a little bit of fun, okay? And we play with Andy usually, okay? And we do incorporate our guests as well. The TV Things Challenge, okay? So. Basically, all you got to do, we haven't got no buzzers, no high-tech sophistication here. If you know the tune, just call out your name, okay? So I'm going to play 3 tunes, okay, from days gone by. Don't you look and cheat, Andy. I can see you. Okay, so I'm going to play 3 tunes, all right? So if you know what it is, just shout Steve, okay? Not you, Andy, because obviously your name's Andy. Okay. And I know what these tunes are, so I'm not going to play. I'm just going to press some buttons. So here's the first one, then.
Andy.
Okay, Andy. Go on.
It's...
what is it?
Airwolf.
All right, I'll let you have that one. Steve, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this one. Okay, so that's one up for Andy then, because obviously, he's rather boring. He never went out as a child. He just watched TV all day. So we're going to do this one now, which I never really got. Okay, but you may know it.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen...
Hang on, did I hear Steve's name?
No.
No, okay.
Andy.
Andy, go on
Andy. Fall Guy.
It is? How on earth did you get that? So, basically, the Fall Guy was about a guy...
He was a stuntman.
He was a stuntman. And basically, he played a stuntman that done all the stunts for the famous actors and everything. But the funny thing about it was, because it was Lee Majors, a $6 Million Man, okay, okay, he had a stuntman for his stuntman work.
He did.
Yeah, he didn't do his own
Did
stunts.
he really?
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. Yeah. There we go. Right, I'm going to do one more, and I bet you.
You can have a head start, Steve, please.
Okay, yeah. I bet you don't. I bet you don't get this one. Okay. This is going back to the 60s. Okay.
Okay.
He's stumped. Honestly, he's stumped.
I'm stumped.
Are you stumped as well? I'll tell you what then, you're not going to get this, are you? No one has got that. That was Jason King. Do you remember Jason King? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember it now. Okay, This one. You're going to love this.
Andy!
Oh, is he going to get 3 out of 3? Go on then, Andy.
Little House on the
Andy,
Prairie.
well done, Ed.
It's not Little House on the Prairie. You're frozen out now. I'm going to give you some clues now, Steve, because you've got to claw one back. So his catchphrase was Nanu Nanu.
Oh, Morky Mindy.
It is Morky Mindy, yes! You got one there, you got one. Does anyone remember Mindy?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I know her name. Pam Dorber.
It was Pam Dorber. Well done. And of course, the late great Robin Williams there. Now, do you remember how this show, for a bonus point, started? Do you remember how it got around to being commissioned?
No.
Happy?
No, I don't. No, that's one thing I don't remember. No.
Happy Days. Do you remember Happy Days?
Happy Days, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mork
Oh,
first
that's right, he
appeared in
did a cameo
Happy
in that, didn't he?
Days.
Oh, he
Didn't
did, yes.
Yes, he did, and he was a star instantly, okay, on Happy Days, which was his first TV appearance ever, okay, and, there we go, it's finished. And, well, basically, they thought he was that good that they gave him his own show, which was Mork and Mindy. How about that?
Fantastic, yeah.
What am I playing now? Right, okay, let's get back to some serious stuff now. We're talking to Steve T. Standing, who obviously doesn't watch as much TV as Andy. No. And more importantly, he's a trained and a fine musician as well. So head over to facebook.com, you knew that bit, and that's the credits, and have a look at all about the credits and obviously their great album. It's... It is really a good album. It's not where you're from, it's where you're at. So who thought of that?
I did.
Well,
But it's
brilliant.
a famous quote by Ian Brown from the Stone Roses, basically. That's what it is.
You stole it, didn't you?
I stole it. He
Borrowed,
quoted it.
borrowed.
And what it was, because we come from this little quiet town called Worthing near to Brighton,
Yeah.
it's like some people sort of like forget. It's like this little forgotten town that they don't think much goes on in Worthing. And I was just making a statement, really, about it doesn't matter where you're from, it's where you're at musically. So
Yeah.
that famous quote just lended itself to the title of this album. So
And it works
that's
really
why I
well,
named
actually. It works really well because it is, it's one of those sort of like, it stands out.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, obviously, you've not done enough to have a greatest hits album, which is boring. You've got a real sort of positive, album there with a really sort of bold statement, for the title, which I find really good. And it's not overdone as well. I like the whole sort of simplicity of it all, the blue, the white, and obviously the red there, or the red, white, and blue. See what he's done there. I see what he's done there. And, it's simplicity. That's sometimes less is more.
Well, when I sort of designed the album cover with a good friend of mine called Mark Rogers, basically I wanted to sort of go for those iconic colours, red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do the Union Jack and the roundel and all the typical mod Britpop thing that's been done before. But I wanted to use them colours because I wanted them to sort of like have that connection that we are a mod indie British band, really, you know what I mean? I mean, I class myself as much an indie artist as I do a mod, you know what I mean? I like both styles equally, so that's basically why I took those colours and just designed it that way.
But I thought it
seemed to make a...
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, obviously with indie music, obviously short for independent music, I mean, obviously we had, we was talking about this earlier, Andy and I, about like the 90s music and everything else, and it was an influx of, like the British Brit pop stuff, and I really hate that terminology, Brit pop, but obviously it brought in some really good music, because obviously
it's always the music press, it's always the press that do it though, isn't they? It's like punk was named by the press, so all those like styles and all those eras of music we listen to and all those movements, it's always named by the press, and they always seem to sort of like New Romantic was this sort of an underground scene, and it was the press that said New Romanticism. Everything that's ever been like punk, new wave, New Romantic, of
course,
indie music, mod. I mean, even mod, everyththing. It's just the press get hold of it, and then they name it, don't they?
They do. They name and shame it, and then it's adopted. Then it's adopted. But the modernism, they didn't get it. They didn't actually name mod. It was modernism, and what they got hold of it and called it mod because everyone was a mod and all that in the 60s. They actually didn't know what mod stood for, which was really quite astonishing. And it wasn't until a bit later in that year when they sort of coined the phrase of mod, and actually then done some back work on it, some back stories on it, and found out it actually meant modernism, which is quite ironic. I remember that very, very well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that. No, I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's just I like because we all know modernism sort of started in the late 50s, early 60s in the jazz clubs and that in London and around that sort of thing. Yeah. But I like what mod did when mod became mod in '64 with The Who, and the Small Faces a little bit later,
Yeah.
Creation and all them, and the Action and all them bands. And I liked what they did because then, whereas before it was quite an elitist thing with modernists,
Yeah.
I like what those bands did by bringing the street edge to it. And I believe that mod music had to have that street edge to it because it become a bit too snobby and a bit too sort of like it was very sort of a select audience.
Yeah.
Making it street and making these young lads from these council estates up and down the UK in bands and then expressing themselves using the modernistic or the modern look.
Yeah.
Basically propelled it to, I think, to the stratospheric level, because if you look at modernists and all that jazz club, they were all obscure bands that no one knew who they were.
Absolutely,
but when mod become mod in '64, it become global. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it had to, I think, in order for it to sort of like to go to that level, it had to go that way. And I believe what the Who and the Jam, Jam did in '79 with the Mod Revival, is they just brought it to the masses, which is what.
Well, the funny thing about it is, as well, with the Jam, they didn't start off to be a mod group.
Pardon?
I mean, obviously, Paul Weller was a mod, but it was more punk. The first album was definitely punk, and I spoke to Steve Carver about
it's like
that,
Paul will always say, he's quoted, and he said, like, I was born a mod, and I'll die a mod. He's always had those mod values, but when they come out, I mean, I was a fan of the Jam from day one, and they were a punk outfit, really. They wore mod suits, but then you could say the same thing with Elvis Costello. He wore mod suits. There were bands that were in the punk movement that wore suits, so it wasn't just the Jam doing that. And what made the Jam stand out was because they just had this sharp Rickenbacker guitar sound to their sound, and they went for clean, hard-hitting sounds. It just made them different to the other punk bands, but they were punk.
Oh, absolutely,
punk.
Absolutely.
And he always considered himself, which is what I always consider myself as. I mean, not to get too lost up in mod. He always said he was a pop star, that he was a new wave pop star, and I believe that's what all those bands were pop stars, whether punk or new wave or mod influence. They were pop stars, you know what I mean, playing pop music.
Well, his first influences were obviously the Beatles, so end of the day,
exactly. Come on, and end of discussion.
End of discussion. There we go.
They called them a '60s beat band. No, they were '60s pop bands. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Right, over to you, Andy. I know you've got another question itching away there, so back to you.
I have that. Just reflecting back on sort of what you've quoted there. Your parents, what sort of music did they follow as they were growing up, and how has that influenced you?
Right, it was a bit of my mum and dad listened to Motown, to country and western, rock and roll, and also, do you remember that song "Susan Beware of the Devil"? That sort of '60s ska music. My dad used to like playing that sort of stuff as well. So we had quite a bit of an eclectic.
Did that come under sort of '60s garage then, didn't it? I think that did.
Yeah.
I think
it was,
so
garage, I was brought up on listening to Motown, the Beatles, of course listening to Jim Reeves, believe it or not, country and western. I had to listen to Glenn Campbell.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of Glenn Campbell, I'll tell you now.
So
that's it,
it was a bit of a mix in my house, what I listened to, as well as kind of hearing the Who on the radio, and of course in the Beatles and all that, as I grew into sort of young man and a teenager. But yeah, that's what I remember my earliest recollections. Even Cliff Richard, my mum being a big Cliff Richard fan as well. So, but what I love about bands in Britain, and I'll tell you what, if you talk about the Beatles and that, I mean, I used to remember listening to Cumberland Gap by Lonnie Donegan, all that skiffle and that, and I think in a way rock and roll, and listen to all those Bill Haley, listen to Elvis Presley and all that, I think that really helped me as a musician as well, because that was great music, and that's really the foundation of where rock and roll went, innit? It started with rock and roll, and then Cliff Richard sort of like making it British and making it his thing. And next thing you know, around the corner, you've got the Beatles doing it in Hamburg, playing rock and roll classics, and then 2 years later, out come the Beatles. So that's what it is, really. I mean, so that's what I listened to, all them. But it was weird, mate. It's weird what I listened to. But one thing I will say to you, and I'm going to bring this up, what always made me realise I was going to be a musician. When we moved into our house in 1969, I was 5 years of age, and scrawled on the inside of my airing cupboard wall was a council house I moved into in 1969 with my mum and dad and my younger brother. and there were 4 names written on the wall, on the inside, on the left-hand side of the wall. That was John, Paul, George and Ringo. And I think
No
to this
way.
day, that was a subliminal message to me being a musician.
Well, you never know. Or perhaps he just lived there, or squatted there, or you just don't know.
No.
You just don't know, do you? There we go. If you,
No.
if you notice a blue plaque outside your house by any chance, then they may have.
No,
have.
it's just... So I remember being a 5-year-old boy,
Yeah.
reading them 4 names on the wall and wondering who these 4 people were. And then years later, realising who these four names were. And then I become the musician that I become, and then a bass player like Paul McCartney and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And being a big fan of him now. And I just think to myself, was it some sort of like divine message? Was it that?
I have
I
no
don't know.
idea.
Sure it was.
You tell me.
But you know, I'm actually playing Glenn Campbell underneath you as we speak. I love a bit of Glenn Campbell. Come on.
What a great guitarist. What a great guitarist.
I'll tell you what, though, he had such a really lovely voice as well for, a very big man
Brilliant.
as well. Glenn Campbell was
Fantastic.
a big guy, proper cowboy. But I've got a question to ask you. I'm just going to pick up on the country and western thing because I grew up obviously listening to things like Tammy Wynette and Don Williams, from the classic country music and everything. But have you noticed I don't use the word western because for some reason they've dropped the western part, and I don't know why. Do you?
Yeah, I don't know why they... Because, I mean, I totally agree with you, because even now, I believe that the artists, the country singers over in America now, they're still country and western to me. They've still got that American voice and that feel. Why they dropped the western, I do not know.
No, I don't either.
I don't get it.
No, I
'cause it
don't
is
understand it.
western. I know you could say they probably it's in a more of a rock format maybe, but no, it's still to me, it's still, even Sheryl Crow was very country and western. You know what I mean? I think American artists, because it's such a big thing in America, isn't it? I think any American artists, they all seem to have a big part of that in their sound because it's their roots, isn't it? So it's
I
such
believe
a
so.
big thing in America.
Absolutely. And
I love all that music. I mean, again, because I've got a slight love for it because I listen to my mum and dad play it sort of day in, day out, as well as rock and roll and all the others. Yeah, you do sort of tend to like it a little bit. Yeah, Dolly Parton and Tammy Wynette and all that.
Okay.
And you're saying Kenny Rogers and all that. You do.
Yeah,
you just do.
Oh, coward of the county, come on. Right, just to expand on Andy's question then. So, obviously, you're doomed or destined, whichever way you want to look at it, to be, an artist, to sing. So, what instrument did you first pick up and what instrument did you always want to play? I mean, is it the guitar or was it something different?
Well, believe it or not, my first thing I bought was a beaten up old drum kit. I always fascinated with drums.
Yeah.
And Keith Moon and the drum and the Sex Pistols, you know what I mean, Paul Cook.
Yeah.
And just drummers. I just think, what a great thing to do, sit there and just bash the hell out of this kit but make a really good sound.
Yeah.
And how expressive you could be with it.
Yeah.
Realised that the drum kit I bought it was knackered, to be honest with you. And my mate said to me at the time, I don't think you should play drums, Steve, because he was a drummer.
Yeah.
He said, why don't you play bass guitar? So I literally bought a bass guitar weeks later, and then 35 years on, I'm still playing bass guitar.
Wow.
But 10 years ago, I wanted to be a songwriter, and I thought the only way I can write and do songs is to pick up the guitar as well. So it's the best thing I ever did because now I play guitar.
Yeah.
It's my number one instrument. I love bass, but I just love guitar. And I always wanted to be a frontman singer. I always wanted to be that. I always wanted to be that frontman up front.
Yeah.
So I remember standing in front of the mirror like we all teenagers do with their tennis racket, like they got a guitar in their hand, just sitting there posing on to all my punk records of the day.
I just had a plank of wood,
thinking I was sort of all the punk artists of the day, really.
Absolutely. I mean, I was so poor, I only had a plank of wood, but,
Exactly, yeah.
I drew the strings on the wood. Okay, over to you, Andy. You must have another question boiling away there.
One more there, then.
Excellent.
Whilst you were strumming in front of your mirror, who were you strumming in front of and why?
Oh, what, you mean like a famous artist?
I was strumming in front of me. I was just standing there, sort of like getting that pout right and getting that sort of like look right.
Who were you listening to? Basically, he wants to know who inspired you.
Who was I listening to?
Yeah, who inspired you to pick up your tennis
was
racket?
the Sex. To start with, the Sex Pistols.
And why not?
And to me, there's never been an album like it since. I mean, I love the Jam albums, all of them, they're great. But to me, when I listen to Nevermind the Bollocks today, as I did all them years ago when I was a 12, 13-year-old lad, to me it sounds as fresh and great now as it did the day it came out.
And the thing is, you can say the word bollocks as well, which is great.
I used to love John Lydon's persona on stage. I just thought he had it, you know what I mean? Of course, I like Joe Strummer. I was a massive fan of Steve Diggle and Pete Shelley and the Buzzcocks. They were my number one band. I loved them. But then when I heard Strangetown and I really then got captured by Paul, then I realised just how much he identified, and lyrically as well, with the youth of the day. And that was just me. Then once I'd listened to Strangetown, that was me hooked. I was a 14, 15-year-old lad, and I was in. That was it. That was me in. So
brilliant. Okay, who's the last person you've seen? Who's the last group, or it don't have to be famous. It can be anyone, unsigned, signed, whatever. Who's the last artist you went to see play live?
The last band I went to see play live was the Specials.
Oh wow!
Where was that?
And they were fantastic. I saw UB40 a couple of weeks before, and they were brilliant.
Yeah.
But no, Terry Hall and the Specials, fantastic, absolutely.
They haven't lost
fantastic.
it, have they? They have not lost a stroke. I think they sound as good
Not at all.
as they
I
were
stood
back
there
in the day.
In awe. Really, it was just great being in there. The vibe in the venue was good. It was in the Brighton Dome. It was.
Yeah.
The vibe was good. Sam was amazing. Seriously, you thought it would be hard to push to sit there and think it wasn't the record playing because they were that good. Yeah?
Indeed. Now you just mentioned
Seriously.
something there. Obviously, we're looking at age and things like that, and you sat there. I mean, back in the day, you would have stood there.
Yeah.
But obviously now we're getting to an age where we go to a concert to sit down and watch. What's that all about? Okay, let's go back to your fantastic.
Though, I stood and watched them though. I do like to stand up, but you do
you
get a bit tired, don't you, standing there?
You do.
When you're 15 years of age and 18 and you can jump around all night long.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't got the puffway up when I was that age. No.
Let's go back to your brilliant album then. That is a brilliant answer, by the way. I love the Specials. I really do.
Fantastic. What an album.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what? I remember being 15. Do you know what? To be a youth in the late 70s was absolutely fantastic. You had punk, you had
everything.
Wave, you had mod revival, you had two-tone. You had it all.
You
had it all.
You did.
Everything.
Right.
And that 6-year period from 76 to 82, best 6 years of music ever.
Fantastic.
Don't think to have been surpassed.
No.
So much great music in that 6-year period.
And like you say, so diverse as well. Now, diversity, I think, is your middle name. I don't know what the T stands for, so we're just going to put a D in there instead. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because your songwriting skills, my friend, are absolutely marvellous. But there is a but here, and it's not a bad but, it's a good but. Each song sounds different, but it seems to continue on the album. Was that your plan all along? Was it a sort of a continuation? Is it a concept album or what? Tell me a bit about the album that obviously is out there right now. So let's start with A New Direction.
Right, A New Direction.
Yeah. Just briefly, yeah. It's about the band getting focused and getting a new direction, you know what I mean? I kept going into HMV, to be honest with you, and that's why in the middle I say it, I quote it on radio, but I used to get fed up of going into HMV and buying my music I liked and not listening to what I thought was... I think in modern days now, I hate the radio stations that won't play everything. Back in the day, Radio 1 and all the radio stations played everything and let the public decide what they wanted to listen to, what they didn't. Yeah.
Then when I wrote this album and songs leading up to it, I just found like certain radio stations are very narrow-minded with what they're playing, what they won't play, because they think that's what the listener wants to listen to. No, it's because they want to give what they think 15-year-olds want to listen to.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you out there now, there is a range from 15 to 50 into independent music that wants to listen to it, but don't have the right to better listen to it because of it. So New Direction's about that, and I mention it. I I'm fed up with listening to the corporate music coming out your door.
I love it.
Well, my album's in there now, but it was basically a quote at the time about me walking past and just listening to R&B and hip hop, and I don't dislike R&B and hip hop. I think it's great, and I like the roots it comes from and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But what annoys me is when radio stations will not play everything and let the public decide, like they used to do 30 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
get that concept. I don't understand it.
No.
Why they won't play everything and let the public decide. No, the public will force fed what they.
He's on his horse now, isn't he?
That is a superb answer.
That is a brilliant answer, and I thought.
But that is what a new direction is all about this country musically getting a direction. And I'm going to say this on radio as well because I think it needs to be said.
Go for it.
People like Paul Weller and Noel Gallagher need to get behind all these up and coming bands are out there because the people 30, 40 years ago give these blokes a chance. Now it's time for them to start backing new music because British guitar music is going down the toilet, and we have a chance of saving it if these people put their name to it and actually back it. Because I just think there's so many good guitar bands out there not getting the voice.
Absolutely.
Well, do you know something? I've not even heard of Radio 1. I've no idea who he's on about or anything like that. But I have heard of Target Radio. Oh, that's us. And we do back all the independent, artists out there, unsigned or signed.
Don't get me wrong. Every music deserves to be listened to. I totally agree with that, yeah? And people should better consume and buy what they want. But I just think it's like a cake in a shop, innit? If you take the cake off the shelves, people are going to buy the next substitute what's on there and what's in their face and what they can actually see.
Absolutely,
you put it back in the shop, people will buy it and consume it.
Absolutely.
It's like music. If you take it away from the mainstream and don't put it out there for people to listen to and let them decide what they want to hear,
of course,
or what they want to listen to, they won't. That's my philosophy on it. Let them decide. I mean, at the end of the day, I felt like 30, 40 years ago, when the music I got into, I had a choice of what it was I listened to, and then I went and bought what I wanted to listen to.
Well,
now, you don't get that chance.
No, you don't anymore,
turn on the main radio stations in this country and turn on TV, and all you hear is what the corporates think that everyone wants to listen to. No, they don't, mate. They want to listen to something else, but hence why Target Radio and all these radio stations exist, because there are people out there that want to listen to this music.
And well said. Thank you very much indeed. Now, I'm going to go skip over the next few, and I love this track. I've played it a few times, and I'm going to play this before, after we finished our interview today, so I'm going to get you to introduce it in a short while. It's What Jimmy Said. Now, I want to know what Jimmy said from your perspective in this song, please. Just briefly.
Right. Watching the film countless times as I have, I sat down there and I could probably sit there and to the point of, I know I shouldn't say it, but recite every word it's probably quoted in that film.
Well, we haven't got 2.5 hours, but you can try.
Jimmy's sitting on that bed in his bedroom with those naked lady pictures above his head and that, and that lyrics in there as well. It's just basically me sitting there watching that film, me remembering what Jimmy said in the film.
Yeah.
So what I did was I put all that onto paper, and it come out in that song.
Fantastic.
So if you listen to the whole thing, fighting on beaches in the sun, sort of like pictures of Lily hung above his head, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything that he does as a character within Quadrophenia and Jimmy as a character is portrayed within that song throughout the whole of it.
That is a brilliant answer. Right, now I'm going to ask you one more question, which is everyone that's out there now listening here on Target Radio, which obviously we do target brand new bands, unsigned artists and bands as well, and targeting literally great music that's out there, because not everyone can go down a local pub, not everyone can meet everyone down a local pub, and quite frankly, not everyone's going to be able to go to that local pub every single time that you and other bands like yourself go out there and play for a few shillings. And if you don't know what a shilling is, then I suggest Googling that. So we exist to play brand new music, to play unsigned music, because obviously it's not going to get a chance on Radio 1 and definitely not on Radio 2. Not that I know of those radio stations at all. Have you ever heard of those, Andy, at all?
No.
No idea. So we exist there to play, obviously, great music. And what I was going to ask you was, to pick up a guitar, there's inspiration, obviously, from other great leaders out there, like you said, Paul Weller, etc. But songwriting is not everyone's cup of tea. How did you get into songwriting, and what would you say, if someone wants to pick up a pen and a notepad, what would fundamentally be your top tip top tip, yes. Your top tip for being a good, not saying successful, but a good songwriter.
Right. I would say, basically, is be aware of where you live and what goes on politically, musically, personally, where you live. That's what I do for my songwriting. It's drawn from them sort of experiences in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And I always wanted to be. I'm a creative person because I love like drawing. I used to do the logos for the bands, and I like being creative. And I just wanted to express me as a person. And I think. Not everyone is geared. I mean, I always think that every musician in a band plays a part in the machine to make music. And I personally wanted to express how I felt personally and put that onto paper, into songs, and that's what I did. It's exactly how I did it. It was basically quotes from what my grandmother taught me about how to keep things real, and my mum telling me as well, and even my stepfather, you know what I mean, and my peers and people around me, and that's what it was. And I just think if you've got it's just basically, I think if you stay true to what you are as a person and sing and write about what it is you know, people will identify with that and they will get it. And this is why Paul Weller was so successful, Noel Gallagher was, and all these bands the same. Yeah. And because they talk about who they are, where they're from, and it's autobiographical in it. I mean, my songs are autobiographical. If you read my words and recite them all out, you'll get a good idea and insight into the person I am and my perspective or my opinion or point of view on that sort of where I live, life, everything.
Well, there
politically,
you are.
Musically, you know what I mean, personally. It's not just one thing, love, you know what I mean, everything.
Of course, yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely. So to get a good impression, obviously, I would suggest then to find out more about Steve and obviously the credits as an artist and obviously songwriting skills, I would suggest, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, and all children of all ages, head over to facebook.com, the credits.mods, or you just write in the credits. You will find the credits there. Now, if someone wanted to purchase your wares, should we say, Steve, where is the best sort of platforms to find your music? I know, obviously, you're going to be in HMV soon, so obviously that's a physical buy, but a lot of people now do a lot of downloading and, you know, they order online and things like that. So do you have your album online ready to go?
No, at this moment in time, no. I'm just in the midst of shooting a new video. I'm doing a video soon. And I am getting a digital download of the album.
Look at you go! Look at you!
Very soon. So because people do want to load the album to their phone, but at the moment, all people are doing is buying the hard copy CD and vinyl direct from me through the credits page on Facebook.
There we are.
Or now they can go into HMV and local stores to the area I live in.
Fantastic.
And go and purchase it there. But I'm a technophobe when it comes to technology. But I have a guy who helped me with the design on the album, who's going to help me set up a digital download of the album, so people can go. And it probably will be on Amazon or iTunes, one of the two.
Yes.
So that will be will be happening very soon. So literally within sort of a few days or a couple of weeks from now, I am actually setting that up. So there will be a digital download of the album soon.
Excellent. And do you know how much it's going to cost at the moment, or is that a little bit too premature to ask?
No, the album direct from me, it's $9.99. It's $9.99 in HMV.
Yeah.
And I suppose the album will be, probably because it's from the digital platform, it'll be $7.99 because it'll be cheaper on there.
A little bit cheaper, yeah. You ain't got no postage or packaging and things like that. Can I make a suggestion?
And I know a lot of people do want to just download the album.
Yeah, of course,
to their phone. I know. I mean, that's modern technology for you. You've got such big phones with big memories, and you just stick it on their phone, and there it is. It's in a playlist, and away they go.
Absolutely. Here you go. Something to frazzle your brain just very quickly. And then I'm going to put a suggestion out for you as well, okay, to get you some more hard copies sold out there. So the first one is the mobile phone has actually got more technology in the very first rocket that went to the moon. Think about that one. And this is my suggestion. You don't have to do it, but what would be really nice, I think, for the next 50 albums, unless, obviously, you've got no ink in your pen, wouldn't it be nice to actually put a nice little message in the album cover just to say, thanks for buying my album, Derek. And, of course, if his name's not Derek, then you can obviously change it to John or Paul or Ringo or whoever, you know. It's up to you. Obviously, you can have a couple of signed copies floating around out there, and they could be worth millions in the years to come. It's up to you, though. But I think that'd be quite nice if you'd done a little personal message in each one, maybe for the first 20, 30, 40, 50, however many you want to do. You know, it's up to you. I just find that would be nice to do for the lovely public out there that order your album.
Yes, I wouldn't mind doing that. I would do that, definitely.
There we are. We'll even supply you a pen.
No,
that's it.
No
we might even put ink in it. Right, okay. Now, we're going to give you another string to your very, very large bow of achievements. And we're actually going to get you now to do a radio first, okay? We're actually going to get you as a radio DJ now. So you've got to put on your radio DJ voice, you know. Or you can just be yourself, which is probably better, actually, to be fair. And I would like you to introduce this track, which is called What Jimmy Said. You might know it, and it's by a band called, you probably know them as well. It's called The Credits. So I'd like you now to introduce your own song off your own brilliant album, and of course, let everyone know where you're going to be in HMV in the short weeks to come. Hopefully, it'll be would it be before Christmas, or will it be after now?
It will hopefully just be before Christmas. If not just before Christmas, it will be just after. But I'm hoping before Christmas. So
brilliant, lovely. That will be brilliant.
Sometime, all I got to do is just talk to them. They have a sort because they have people go in and out the store.
Yeah,
it's however quick they can allocate me a slot. I'd like to go in ASAP, but that is down to HMV and when they can actually take me in. So
that's it. Lovely. Well, keep us tuned here, and what we can do from Target Radio's point of view, as soon as we know, we'll let you guys out there know as well, when obviously you're going to be in there and doing your stuff, which will be brilliant. Okay, so introduce your song, and we'd just like to say now, Andy and I, okay, and obviously I'm not going to speak on behalf of Andy. Andy, you do it first then. What are you going to say to Steve for his time today?
I'm going to thank you very much indeed, Steve, for taking the time to speak to us this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you, Andy. It's been an absolute privilege to talk to you. Absolutely.
Hurry up, I'm clapping here.
As I said previously, Nikki and I can't wait to meet you, and as soon as you let us know that you're going to be at HMV, we'll be there to see you.
Yeah, as long as time permitting, everything, I will be there as well, unless work obviously calls for work. Yeah. Work comes first, I'm sure you'll understand.
Absolutely.
That's a great lyric. You can use that one on me. Okay, I'm sure I borrowed that from somewhere. Okay, over to you then, Steve T. Standing of The Credits. It's up to you now, my friend. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here on Target Radio, and we look forward to meeting up with you in HMV and obviously listening to some more fine music from The Credits. Over to you then, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Steve T. Standing. This is What Jimmy Said by The Credits. Check us out on Facebook. Hope you like it.
I couldn't have put that better myself. Thanks ever so much indeed. Steve, we'll catch you very soon.
Take care, Steve. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, mate. Take care.
Bye. There he is. He's gone. And what a superb. Oh, he's brilliant.
Excellent.
I love him. I really do. I love him. Platonically? Yeah. Something like that. Oh, he really likes that guitar bit, doesn't he? There we go. The Credits there with What Jimmy Said. And, yeah, I love that. I love all the references in there because obviously it's a great nod to Quadrophenia, and that's why I played it.
Excellent.
I love that. It's turning you on. Sorry. So, I've done it again.
I'm here.
You're there now. Right, he did mention a few artists as well. And then when we say he, we are talking about Steve T. Standing from The Credits.
Absolutely.
And we'd just like to say thank you very much indeed for jumping on with Target Radio and chatting for the last 40-odd minutes. Fantastic. We will turn this into a podcast. Whoa, look at us go. Whoa, podcast. We'll do a podcast. And, of course, this will be available on Mixcloud as well, the whole show again, by the end of this week. As long as, obviously, the powers that be up there looking, make sure it's recorded this time, for goodness sake. Right, so he mentioned Elvis Costello, and he also mentioned the specials, didn't he?
He did.
Should we play both very quickly? My goodness me. Right, okay, now, what was I doing? Oh, yeah, I know what I was going to do. I was actually going to tell everyone about a couple of new radio platforms that we've got here on Target Radio. So the first one is radio.garden, listen/Target Radio. Head over to that. It's on our Facebook page anyway, Target Radio Live page for presenters and listeners, which is a fantastic site. even though I say so myself.
You have to.
Well, I have to, I suppose. And I just want to say thank you very much indeed to, obviously, all of our following presenters. So I'm just going to quickly run through it, Andy, if you don't mind. Roger Hannaford, John Chidlow, Martin Fuggles, Martin Belmont, Angie Dorin, Wayne Ford, Rob Smith, Steve Carver, there's a name you know, Tommy Clark, Mike Thompson, Peter Slavid, Andy Walker. I know, I can't
Was
put
it me?
I said you.
Was
Can't
it
put,
me?
Yeah, no, I couldn't put the top bit in because it's not allowed on Facebook. Another story for another day. Nick Tang's done away, and behind the scenes, Rachel Cook and some woman called Nikki J. Top-Walker. No idea. Right.
Love her.
I know you do. We all love her, but you love her more.
I do.
So for everyone there, I'm going to do this. And now you're going to ask me the reason why I'm doing that.
Sean, why did you do that?
I've no idea. The reason why I've done that is our figures have just come through for last month, okay?
Pray tell.
I will. Dear God. Not that sort of pray. Right. So, our totals for last month, okay?
Okay.
Here we go. Right, okay. We need a drum roll, really, and I can't remember where... Hang on.
Where are you going with that?
No idea. Just talk. Just talk for a minute.
What? Is it still raining outside?
I've no idea. Why are you talking about the weather? Okay, so you ready for the total?
I am.
The total is 419,328 new and existing listeners. I think that deserves one more of these. Thank you very much indeed for making Target Radio almost 500,000 listeners.
That's a definite OMG.
It is definitely an OMG. Oh my goodness me. There we go, making time, the creation here on Target Radio. And the reason why we're talking all over it, Andy, because we've run out of time.
We're running out of time.
We've run out of time. We've tried making time, but unfortunately, time is now against us. Once more, I'd like to say thank you very much indeed. I'm not going to say it to each and individual person because it's 419,328 people.
But thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We'll be here till next week doing that.
Thank you.
But if you want to join in what is the beast of Target Radio, and it's growing, well, obviously it's doubled its figures from last month to this month. What's that all about?
We thank you.
Anyway, before you thank any more people, we just had Steve T standing. You've been messaging him in between songs and stuff, and he mentioned the Rifles, didn't he?
He did. He just remembered that the last band he saw live
was not the Specials then.
No, it wasn't the Specials. It was the Rifles.
Goodness me.
And he did also ask if we had time to play a Rifle song, which unfortunately we are running out of time, and dedicate it to Carol. But unfortunately we can't do it this time, but we will do it. But Carol...
Yeah, we know who Carol is, but hello, Carol.
Hello, Carol.
And we'd just like to say thank you very much indeed for everyone who's joined us this evening. And, of course, a special thank you indeed for Steve T standing as well. And that's it, we're out of time.
Thank you, Carol.
That's it. Thank you, Carol. There we go. And I'd just like to say thank you very much indeed for joining us. And last word then is yours, Andy. So say bye-bye, Andy.
Bye-bye, Andy.